Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and today we're going to be diving into 4 different piles here today to do not only a little bit of divination but also some art magic. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits and anyone new who may be joining us here today, because we are going to be doing a very different pick a card reading in the idea that each of these piles only have one single card within them, so that we can really deep dive into the specific card and energy that you choose. But the kicker here is that we are going to be experimenting and I'm going to be showcasing a couple of ways in which you can use art magic to manifest the specific card that you choose. So it's going to be very different. Definitely come into this with an open mind. If this is not your cup of tea, that's totally okay. Do let me know. This is very different for me, and so the format may be changing if I do ones like this in the future, or if you are even interested at all. But do let me know your feedback down below. That always is super helpful, especially when I'm just kind of throwing things out there and seeing what sticks. And also because art magic is a huge part of my personal practice, and those of you who are on my Instagram will know that I do a lot of different art magic over there in my grimoire, in the different charms that I make, in different altar figurines and other things that I place upon my ancestor altar, and all sorts of things. Like I showcase a lot of that over there, so if that's something that interests you after this video, do feel free to check out that Instagram community. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on it too much. We're gonna really explore it when we get to your guys' piles, but do feel free to choose all of them or a multitude of them. You don't have to just stick to one pile here. And as always, if you're interested in the other things that I offer on this channel, do feel free to check all of that out down below for snail mail readings and also for magical spell and ritual papers, which are great for art magic, so definitely check those out down below as well. So here for each of the piles, I have one specific crystal or rock, and this specific stone is pile number 1. For pile number 2 here, we have this piece of Labradorite. That's pile number 2. Here for pile number 3, as we have 4 piles today, we have this piece of raw green Aventurine. So that's pile 3. And then last but not least here with pile number 4 is this palm stone of black Obsidian. So that is pile number 4. So before you start heading off to your pile, let's go ahead and take that deep and cleansing breath here together. And also not only to ground your energy, but also to kind of put your creative hat on and open your mind a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a deep cleansing breath here now. And as I mentioned previously, you can choose any or all of the piles. There's really no right or wrong way, especially with this one, as it's more of an art exploration and a way in which to incorporate both divination and art together. But do feel free to play around with any or all of them. All of the timestamps will be down below alongside the chapter marks of this video. And yeah, do let me know any feedback as you go through this. I would love to know if this is something you'd like to see in the future, or if there's other things I could improve upon, as this is very new. But yeah, let's go ahead and just dive right in. Hello group 1, so here is your specific crystal or stone that you have chosen, and I chose this one specifically for the reason that it will connect to the card in which you've chosen. So let's reveal your card. So you have manifestation here. I felt a really big pull to this card and to what we're going to be doing here today. It's going to be an interesting one as I was working through the craft, which I'll be showcasing me working on it here in a moment. But as I was working on the different art magic craft that you guys could do, I was also thinking of other things that you could create. So this one has a lot of ping-ponging ideas and things that you can do, but the whole point is that since you have this card, we are going to deep dive into the guidebook, and we're going to, oh, I just realized it's on the front, into the guidebook, and we are going to see what it has to say, and then I'm going to talk about the specific craft that you can do to, or art magic creation in which you can do to really build on this idea. So you might just want to hear the message, and that's totally fine. Otherwise, do stay tuned for the things that you could get up to. So I will go ahead and hold this up in case you want to read all of this. But it says here, for the card you pulled, Manifestation, Magical Guidance. The alchemist within you urges you to reawaken powerful manifestation abilities. Demonstrating a strong will and focus will drive your desires into fruition, with a little help of magic, of course. As you step back into alignment through spell work and acknowledging both aspects of your light and shadow self, you become testimony to the wise ones who walked before you. The universe is poised to support you as it reflects your positive intentions. So go and grab your dreams, reach for your goals as a magical energy surges through you. Everything is yours for the taking and will continue to be so as you add your own magical touch. And today we are definitely going to be adding your own magical touch. So the ideas that came to mind for me when I was thinking of manifestation, I immediately thought about the idea of creating a manifestation jar, bowl, or some sort of container, and I had lots of different ones that I wanted to showcase to you. I have a gratitude jar in which I've been using for many years to throw little scrolls of gratitude within. But you could use that same concept to write little scrolls of different things you'd like to manifest at different times and with different pens even and things like that to charge up the manifestation and then place it within the jar. You could even add crystals to the bottom of the jar in order to heighten that. On top of that, you could also use other containers, such as something as simple as a box. I recently just acquired this gorgeous, beautiful antique, I don't know if it's antique, but this very heavy antique looking sort of trinket box. And within it, I thought, why not use it for manifestation? Why not create a manifestation box within it, or trinket space? And so today we are going to be doing just that and using this space to create a full moon manifestation box. You could use it for any cycle of the moon. It could be for the new moon, the first quarter moon, the full moon, or any other moon cycle, moon phase that you'd like. But today we are going to be doing that. So I hope you guys do enjoy. There's going to be a lot of beautiful B-roll for you to create alongside me if you'd like to, and lovely pauses in order for you to really take it in. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. So to start, for your specific craft or your specific art magic, I thought for what we could do is create a massive moon. That's what I started with, is I was like, let's just create the moon, right? But then as I was creating it, and as beautiful as it was turning out, it, one, is too large to fit in the box, and two, I just wasn't feeling as called to it. But you could use this to decorate the inside of your box, you could paint your box, you could draw or use markers on the outside of it to add intentions related to the moon, or if it's a manifestation box for some other intention, to use that visually as well. I personally decided to use this bronze sort of antique trinket box, so I couldn't really attach anything to it. So instead I decided, how about I just make some little mini moons? So I used watercolor here to create little mini moon circles. And within each circle, as they dried and were being created, I used some salt. So I added salt on top of each of these circles in order to add a little bit more of that cleansing element. And also the water that I was using within the watercolor is full moon water, to add an extra little touch to the magic in which we are trying to heighten and manifest. So it's good to also have, while you're creating these, just something on your mind to kind of identify what it is you want to be manifesting. So for me personally, I was feeling really drawn to the colors of green and blues, but then I ended up changing those blues to purple and black, and I don't know what about those 3 colors was really calling to me, but I decided to go with them and trust my own gut here. You could use various colors and different shades. I also played around with different techniques, like I said, with the salt, using the water, but also using a white crayon to create a resist method here. And as you make these little mini moons, you can think about what it is you're trying to manifest. So manifestations are basically a way in which you can bring forth a desired result from the universe. So basically, say you want a new job, then you'd write that down, or you'd use specific colors that relate to the job in which you're trying to manifest. You use different imagery, different ideas, and different wording. Personally, I went for affirmations, and these affirmations are written as if they've already happened. So say you wanted to get a new job, then you would write, I am at this new job, or I work at this job, and you would put it into the jar or into the manifestation jar or trinket box or whatever it is that you're using as a container to hold and keep this energy really heightened. And you would place those in at every full moon. So every full moon you could put new little trinkets in here, new little pieces of art and ideas and dreams within this space to manifest them forward. So those are all of the different ideas and things that I came up with for your specific card here today, and I hope you did get something out of it. If you do decide to create your own manifestation box or trinket jar, then I would love to see what you end up coming up with. I think it's a great way for us all to continue to heighten this magic as well, in order to grow and evolve our magic forward. So do feel free to share in the comments or on my Instagram, and I'd love to check it out. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the craft and energy of group 2. Hello, group 2. So today we're going to be looking at your pile, and it is this piece of Labradorite. And with the piece that you decided to choose, we're going to look into your specific card. So let's look. So you got psychic abilities. So I was so excited when I pulled this card and was like, okay, yes, we can totally deep dive into this. That's so my jam, especially when we're doing something so magical. So psychic abilities is one of my favorite things to explore. Personally, when it comes to my own magic, you can create scrying mirrors, and you can create astral portals and different ways to connect with your guides through meditation spaces that you create, and all sorts of different things. But I decided to choose a specific craft here for you all today, a specific magical manifestation of sorts. And that is that we are going to do, actually, I'll wait. Let's go ahead and talk about first what the guidebook has to say, and then I will tell you what we are going to be doing today. So let's see what the guidebook has, because we want to deep dive, right? So feel free to pause and check this all out. But as you pulled this card, then you have currently something that you need to explore within your psychic abilities. Something in which is ready to come forward, or something in which you are ready to learn or gain clarity within. So let's see what it says here in the book. So it says, psychic abilities. Magical guidance. You are experiencing a great shift in your personal energy, and what you once found attractive no longer appeals to you as your sensitivity increases. Everything that you're feeling is entirely natural, for it is your wish and desire to evolve spiritually, and that has brought about these changes within you. As you connect with your angels and guides and anyone else that you work with, as well as practice your daily meditations and prayers and live your truth, your frequency may rise and match that which you now seek. The psychic phenomenon that you are experiencing is real. It's time to trust the subtle messages of spirit as a new spiritual doorway opens to awaken your psychic abilities. So magical meanings here are trust your psychic gifts, this is your path, your intuition is correct, and many others. But what I want to do for you is to give you an opportunity to really see which specific gifts are coming forward for you, seek out those gifts, kind of connect with them in some way in a very open, meditative space. So what we're going to be doing today is creating an artistic scrying session. So basically you're just going to be flowing in a very flow creative state, and you can get out any supplies you'd like. You can get out inks, water, you can get out acrylic paints or other paints to squish onto the pages and create Venn diagrams. There's so many different things you could do here, but what I decided to do is get out a little bit of my moon water that I carry in this little jar, and I decided to kind of put it on the page, play around with it, and just see what would flow. So I got out many different materials around me. So there's crayons, there's water, there's watercolors, inks, and all sorts, but get out what really gets your heart space and creative space flowing, and that's where we are going to begin. So the whole point of this scrying session is to gain answers and clarity. So as I was going about this, I kind of set the intention to allow myself to just see what happens on the page. We're not trying to make anything. It might end up looking like something that then you follow down that path, that rabbit hole, and see what comes out for you. But when you start, it's just throwing things on the page and seeing what happens. And what you're scrying for, much like scrying in a crystal ball, is looking for personal visual symbols and symbology, or personal things that start to just shape for you. So if you start seeing hearts everywhere or stars as little signals from spirit or yourself, then trust that. I personally was trying to learn about my personal psychic abilities, but you could be going into this with a very different intention. You could be going into it with an intention to learn about your love life and using your psychic abilities through art magic in which to do that. You could be doing this with any question really that you seek. But I wanted to know just basically what specific psychic gifts I should be really leaning into at this time and really trusting at this time as I move into the winter season. So as I was going through this, I started playing around first with that water and then seeing how it flowed with the ink. And as it flowed around on the page, I started to notice different things happen. And as I also played around with moving the ink in different ways, these like tentacle-like symbols started to show up, which for me showcased that I was trying to kind of go too many different directions. It made me feel like I was maybe trying to reach too many different ways. But you might notice other things and other different symbols come forward for you. You could see different images, different patterns even, that only make sense to you, and to trust whatever it is that comes forward. And if nothing comes forward, that's totally okay as well. Just going into it with an open mind is the best place and way to start. I decided to really play around with this resist method as well by using a white crayon to mark down little eye symbols, because I am a very visual person when it comes to my magic. As you can tell, I love art magic in that way, that visual element. So I knew that my psychic gift was probably going to be showcasing a lot of that idea of clairs within my eyes and within my seeing and sight. But I didn't know about my ears, my nose, my mouth, my taste or sense of smell, or if I was feeling it in my bone wisdom, whatever it may have been. I wanted to know what was being shook up there. And what I kept noticing was this face showing up, this face and this figure where there was one eye open, the other eye sort of closed or kind of shaded by this space of tentacles, and then this nose that kept coming forward. So I'm not very, I don't have a lot of psychic abilities within smell. That's more of my mom. But I felt really called to it as I was going through this. So that gave me a bit more of clarity and an answer to my question in a way that I wasn't expecting. So that's where that open-minded, free-flowing energy is going to be so important when it goes into what you're going to create. So I do hope you decide to create your own scrying session and see what comes forward for you. You might find that even doing it a couple of days at a time, coming back to it, you might notice things start to show up throughout the month. You could do a month-long scrying session with small small little 5-minute intervals in between and seeing what shows up to create this beautiful picture of what's going on in your mind's eye. There's so many different ways to explore this idea of art magic through scrying, and I would love to see what you create. So do let me know on Instagram down below. I'll have it linked, and also you can check out the other ways in which you can support the channel down below as well. But we are going to go ahead and move on to group 3. Hello group 3. So if you've decided to choose this piece of raw Aventurine, then this is the pile for you. So let's go ahead and look at your specific card that came through. So you have here prosperity. So we're going to be exploring the idea of prosperity through art magic, through creativity, and seeing what you can manifest there. So we're going to play around with many different ideas, but I decided on one specific one, and so we'll talk about the specific one that we're going to be playing around with here, and you can join in during this video if you'd like to, or come back to it later with your supplies. But we're going to talk about first what it says in the guidebook. So here we are with the Spellcasting Oracle Cards guidebook, and let's talk about what it says here. So do feel free to pause and read this if you'd like on your own, but I am going to go ahead and read the magical guidance perspective for prosperity. So it says, "It's been a long, hard slog, and you've wondered if you'll ever reap the benefits you've worked so diligently for. As you face financial responsibility, a little extra cash would certainly be very welcome at this time." I definitely feel that, so I agree with you all if you chose this pile. "Remain calm and courageous, for your constant worry and concerns are about to be a thing of the past. As a successful and flourishing circumstance beckons, the energy of affluence surrounds you, signaling that opulence and financial success is yours for the taking. Wealth is knocking on your door and asks for you to invite in a little luxury, for this is the most prosperous time." So, we are going to be exploring prosperity through a specific art magic craft, and let's just start diving into it. The one I decided to go ahead and do for you all today is a way in which you can manifest prosperity through carrying around a little prosperous spirit in your pocket or in your purse, and that is by putting in a card, a manifestation card, within your wallet or within your purse or wherever you carry your money. So this is going to be right up against the energy in which you're trying to bring forward more prosperity, even if it's just pennies, and putting that together to carry around with you. By carrying it around as well, it's going to keep carrying that energy along with you and to carry it out into the world versus it just sitting on an altar space or sitting somewhere else. So today's, I decided, let's create a little prosperity guardian or spirit in which you can place into your pocket in a little business card, so it can get to business to help you create some prosperity in your life and to really lure in more prosperous moments in your life too. So personally for me, I ended up having a very interesting experience with this, as it was showcasing a very different spirit. And the thing is, when you go through this, you're not going to really know what you're going to create. You can create anything you want. So I got out a whole bunch of papers. I got out a business card of mine in order to get the right shape so it fits in the wallet. So you could use an old credit card, or you could basically trace around anything that will fit within there, whatever shape you'd like. It could be in the shape of a coin, a business card, a star, whatever you'd like, as long as it fits. And what I started out doing was just playing around with color. So I knew that the colors that I wanted to use were green and gold. You may not have gold watercolors, but I personally do, and I felt really called to use them. If you don't, you can use gold foil from different wrappers that maybe you keep, from different candies and things. You could also utilize different papers from magazines and cutouts that you have. And if you don't have all of those things, then you could just use your own mind's eye to seek out the different shapes and things that you're going to be creating here. So when we talk about a little spirit, so you're going to be thinking about what that spirit is coming up for you. So using magic and using that psychic side of yourself, if you could have a guardian, a little guardian in your pocket to create prosperity for you, what would they look like? What would they feel like? What would their energy be? You don't even have to create them. So if you're not into drawing, if that's not your thing, you can just stamp on pennies and stick them on the front of it. You could do rubbings of pennies on the front of it and that be your guardian symbol. You could also utilize pictures from different cutouts and things so that you don't have to actually create the faces. This could be fully collage if you want. There really is no right or wrong way when it comes to this. It's all just creativity. But this is what I ended up coming up with in case it gives you a little bit of an idea of the process. So like I said, I created that first go around of the different colors. I was really inspired by the person on the front of the card in the idea of having like one hand up to receive and one hand down to kind of let that flow of money continue forward. And I also was thinking about the Three of Pentacles. So I felt really called to adding those different elements in, and you'll see as I move through it that those do show up. But the little guardian in my pocket, in my little purse, in my little wallet that I was feeling most called to came forward because of this print that I had, and I've had for a really long time, of like this little vinyl print with these honeycomb symbols. And so I felt really called to the idea of like this little bee, this little worker bee, just helping along and pollinating all of the flowers of prosperity within my prosperous side of this idea, or in like the garden of my prosperity, or whatever you wish to see it as. I felt like they were just running around and like adding little sprinkles of golden dust everywhere. It's hard to get pollen off your hands, so I felt like I wanted that sticky pollen energy to come forward. So for mine, I used ink to create this little figure and then added little wings and things like that. And I also added the earth symbol to their chest, played around with different colors, and felt like adding these antlers. I don't know why, but I added them in and it felt right. Maybe it was stability. And then I also ended up making these little discs that I ended up coloring on a pentacle, so I could showcase that Three of Pentacles energy as well, of that constant flow state of prosperity coming in and out and in and out in a constant flow like a river. So it was never sort of left without that stream. And then I decided to add an affirmation at the end as well, with these tiny little buzzes that says, "I am buzzing with prosperity." So that is the little guardian that I ended up creating for mine, but I would love to see what you end up creating if you decide to do this as well. You could make it for other things outside of prosperity, for protection, travel, for good luck in general, or to also utilize it for even career. There's so many different ways you could utilize something like this. It could even be a vision board that you carry alongside with you all year long. But do let me know what you ended up creating in the comments down below, or if you felt inspired by this in any way. I would love to hear your feedback either here or on my Instagram by tagging me and things like that. This is, like I said, a very experimental video, so if this wasn't really calling to you, that's okay. We're going to be going to the normal stuff, but I hope you did enjoy nonetheless. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the final group with group number 4. Hello group 4. So if you've decided to choose this stone of black obsidian, then this is the pile for you, and let's see what you have here today. So your card is travel. So I felt really called to this card when it popped out, and I had an immediate idea of what to do for your guys' craft or art magic here today. But before we start diving into what it is, I think we should dive into the guidebook to really deep dive into the messages that might be coming forward for you if this is something you're trying to manifest, if you're trying to manifest travel into your life, or if travel is just really on your mind right now. So let's see what the guidebook has here for you. So do feel free to pause and read this if you'd like on your own, but we are going to read this here together. So it says, travel, magical guidance. What you wish will not come about by sheltering within the comfort of your 4 walls and all that makes you feel secure. You're being called to journey to the road less traveled, for the answers you seek certainly won't be found while you're sitting on the sofa. Instead, book that trip for a lifetime. Soak up the fiery sun of a faraway land. Go climb a mountain, bathe in tropical waters, or make that overdue visit you've been promising. This is the perfect time to go and seek adventure and to retreat from a mundane world. So be the bold explorer. Go and discover yourself. What's waiting out there just for you? So I felt so called to one specific craft and I'm so excited about it. Let's just go right into it. So you could obviously create many different things for travel. You could create little travel pouches and different sachets and things like that, which a lot of people do. But what I wanted to do was create a safe travel sigil, which is basically a fancy word for a magical symbol that is created with magic, and then to make it and charge it and actually make it magical versus just creating it, we're going to put it in a very specific place, which is on the bottom of a shoe. So to first start making any sigil, you have to decide what it is that you are going to make the sigil for. So maybe you want to create a different sigil and you create a different idea for this, and that's totally fine. But the one we're going to be creating here today is with the idea of safe travels. So I wrote down safe travels in big, bold letters. And to create a sigil, there's many different ways to create them, and you can even just write down the words and feel inspired and create a symbol. There really is nothing else to it. But if you want a little bit more structure, this is one way in which you can do it. So first, take out and write it down one more time just below it without any of the vowels. So I took out the A, the E, the other A, and the other E, and ended up with SF space TRVLS. So then after that, you write down in the next line below it all of the different strokes in which you use to create it. So all the different straight lines, the curves, the diagonals and hyphens and all sorts of things. So you'd see different straight lines with the F, the T, the R, and the L. You see horizontal lines with the T and the L. You see vertical lines, you see diagonal lines with the V and the R. And you also see a curve with the R at the top part of it. From there, you can then use all of these different shapes to create a symbol. So what I ended up doing was creating this little guardian symbol because I was really feeling called to guardians, especially if you saw the previous pile, you know what I'm talking about. But I felt called to creating one that felt more like a spirit that was creating a safe little guardian for you. So as we want to put this on the bottom of your shoe, you don't really want to make it too large if you don't have a lot of space. You're welcome to use the specific symbol that I actually create and the sigil that I create here if you want to, and that's totally valid and totally cool with me if you'd like to. But what you need next is a Sharpie in which to write it on the bottom of your shoe. And the reason why we are writing this symbol on the bottom of your shoe, you may be wondering, is when you go into safe travels, what you always wear when you leave the house, hopefully, is shoes. If not, you can also do this on the bottom of your foot if you'd like. But I ended up putting it on my little sandals, and in this I wrote the symbol, and I was thinking about safe travels as I did so in order to create a very safe symbol. And the reason why this works and how it's going to charge the symbol as you move forward and to actually create real safety, protection, and magic is that the symbol already has that idea of safe travel, and every step you take charges the symbol. So you take a step, you jog, you hike, and every time you take that step now, it's going to create motion and almost sort of electrify the symbol and charge it to continue to have it work for you and create a safety, guarded, protected bubble around you. So that is just one of the different ways in which you could use this. You could also embroider it into your clothing. You could sew it into a bag of yours that you're taking with you, like your luggage. You could put it in your wallet. You could put it next to your passport or something like that. There's so many different ways that you could utilize these symbols, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a safety symbol. You could utilize it outside of it, but that is the one in which we created here today. It is one of the simplest of all of the different ones that I did here for each of the different piles, but that isn't to say it isn't necessarily as powerful and impactful. I would love to see your shoes down below and how you utilized it, or different ways in which you even maybe used it outside of this and expanded upon the one that we have here today. You can let me know in the comments down below, or you can check out my Instagram community where you can see a lot more of the art magic that I do over there, as my stories are usually filled with it. And yeah, I hope that you did enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed all of them if you watched all of them as well. And feedback is super important, so thank you for any feedback. Thank you for liking the video, checking anything out, subscribing, and all of that. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!